With a single move, Cristiano Ronaldo wiped $4 billion off Coca-Cola's market cap in seconds. The media framed this as a devastating blow, but for Coca-Cola, it wasn't even a scratch. Throughout its long history, they faced crises far bigger than this. Accusations of lacing their drinks with narcotics, relentless media pressure, even the threat of global war. And every single time they survived using ruthless, sophisticated tactics that completely ignored social and moral values. But what exactly are those tactics? What dark truths are hiding behind the sweet, familiar taste we enjoy every day? America, in the late 19th century, witnessed the fastest population boom in its history. In 1880, the population was 50 million. Just 30 years later, it skyrocketed to 91 million. Factories sprouted everywhere, and the rise of capitalism fueled the advertising industry. Consumers finally had the information to compare and choose the best products. Unlike other industries, the American medical field was in a crisis. Modern breakthroughs were still in their infancy. Doctors largely relied on a brutal practice called heroic medicine. This involved extreme, high-risk interventions to save dying patients, bloodletting, inducing vomiting, and forcing patients to sweat, all in the hope of balancing the body's humors. Surgery was basically a death sentence. Many patients didn't die from their illness, but from surgical infections. Naturally, the public lost all faith in modern medicine. Herbal remedies and traditional methods became the go-to choice. And this created a golden opportunity for greedy opportunists. They flooded the market with patent medicines. In reality, these were just cheap mixtures laced with highly addictive stimulants. These drugs hijacked the nervous system, temporarily numbing the patient's pain. The most famous of these was Vang Mariani, a blend of Bordeaux wine and cocaine. The ads claimed that just 3 glasses a day could cure any disease. Naturally, everyone wanted a taste, including a man named John Pemberton. Severely wounded during the Civil War, Pemberton was hooked on morphine to manage his pain. Over time, his tolerance grew, and he needed higher doses just to function. Vang Mariani, with its cocaine kick, became his perfect substitute. But Pemberton, a trained pharmacist, didn't just want to cure himself. He saw a massive commercial opportunity. In 1884, he created French wine Coca. It was essentially a clone of Vang Mariani, but with extra herbs to emphasize its medicinal properties. Then disaster struck. Prohibition laws suddenly swept across several U.S. states. Pemberton was forced to remove the alcohol and replace it with sugar syrup. The result was incredibly bitter, but a little extra sugar fixed that. The name French wine Coca no longer made sense, so his bookkeeper suggested a new name, Coca-Cola, derived from its 2 main ingredients, the cola nut, caffeine, and the coca leaf, cocaine. Pemberton marketed it as a nerve tonic and cure for headaches, but the market was already saturated. In its first year, Coca-Cola sold an average of just 9 drinks a day. Meanwhile, Pemberton's morphine addiction ruined his health, and in 1888, he died, leaving his unfinished empire behind. Before his death, Pemberton sold his secret formula to a pharmacist named A. Candler for $2,300. In 1892, Candler founded the Coca-Cola Company and trademarked the name. Candler didn't just want to sell soda, he wanted to build an empire. He launched an unprecedented marketing blitz. The iconic red logo appeared everywhere. Billboards, wall calendars, clocks, hand fans, wooden cabinets, rulers, bookmarks, and newspapers. Coca-Cola became a familiar sight in American life. Sales skyrocketed. In 1889, they sold 8,220 liters of syrup, equivalent to 61,000 liters of finished drink. The next year, production quadrupled to 33,530 liters. By 1895, Sales hit 288,700 liters. Candler then rolled out a revolutionary marketing strategy: free samples. Company employees handed coupons door to door, slipped them into magazines, and left them at pharmacies. Free syrup was also provided to soda fountains. From 1894 to 1913, it's estimated that 1 in 9 Americans tried a free Coca-Cola. Approximately 8.5 million free drinks were distributed. This seemingly simple campaign was a calculated trap, because once you tasted this highly addictive, caffeine and sugar-laced syrup, you could never forget it. But one final hurdle remained. Candler realized that branding Coca-Cola as a medicine was a mistake. The actual medicinal value of its patent medicine was negligible. The patent medicine market, after years of explosive growth, was also declining. Now, instead of targeting only patients, Candler rebranded it as a refreshing drink for everyone. Media campaigns propelled sales. Movie stars and athletes held Coca-Cola in their hands. By 1895, Candler proudly declared Coca-Cola was available everywhere in America. Branches and syrup factories sprouted up. In 1898, the company owned a 3-story, elegant headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. But this was just the beginning of a powerful yet morally dark empire. Everyone loved Coca-Cola. They drank it everywhere, ignoring one massive fact. The original formula was loaded with cocaine. Analysis of Pemberton's French wine Coca showed it contained up to 56 milligrams of coca leaf extract per 532 milliliters bottle. This was a major reason people became addicted. But in 1903, cocaine was suddenly removed. The reason wasn't public health, it was racism. In 1899, Coca-Cola began bottling its drink. Before that, it was sold only at soda fountains. The company distributed syrup, while stores handled the carbonation. This limited accessibility. Once addicted, people needed it everywhere. Bottling became the perfect solution. This convenient format quickly became a phenomenon. In its first year, over 36 million Coca-Cola bottles were sold, with a significant portion purchased by black laborers. Why? Because of Jim Crow laws. These segregation laws banned black people from entering white-owned soda fountains. When the brand spread across the South, black laborers quickly embraced it. The sweet drink helped them cool down after long days at docks and plantations. From ports to plantations, the sight of workers holding Coca-Cola bottles became familiar. Public opinion shifted. White Americans, who once praised Coca-Cola as an energy booster, began to object. Medical scholars warned about the Negro cocaine fiend. The media stoked public fear with terrifying caricatures of black men losing control and attacking white women. In response to this situation, Candler stepped forward to reassure the public. He claimed that the amount of cocaine in each bottle of Coca-Cola was only enough to keep the mind clear and alert. However, these reassurances had virtually no effect. In 1901, the Atlanta Constitution warned that Coca-Cola was creating numerous addicts within the black community. Facing intense pressure, Coca-Cola quietly adjusted its formula. The new product was advertised as cocaine-free, with the replacement ingredient labeled Merchandise 5. However, Coca-Cola still retained decocainized coca leaf extract in its recipe to this day. So, if cocaine was gone, why did they still need the coca leaf? In 1911, the U.S. government began tightening its grip on the use of addictive substances, including cocaine. This crackdown was formally codified by the Harrison Narcotics Tax Act of 1914. But by this time, Coca-Cola had already transformed into a national institution, wielding massive influence over the American economy, society, and even culture. Its power was so immense that the law itself had to carve out a special exception. The Harrison Act banned the import of coca leaves, but it permitted the import of coca leaves from which the cocaine had been extracted. And this special privilege was granted to exactly one single company, the Maywood Chemical Works in New Jersey. They imported the leaves and extracted the cocaine from them. They imported the cocaine from them. The processed leaves were then sold to Coca-Cola to be used as a raw ingredient. Meanwhile, the pure extracted cocaine was sent to Mallinckrodt Pharmaceuticals for medical purposes. That exception created a serious legal loophole. While heroin, cocaine, and marijuana are absolutely banned, coca leaves are permitted to be imported into the United States. It has even been included in international treaties restricting drug trafficking. The Atlantic magazine revealed that in 2003 alone, the Maywood Chemical Works imported over 174 tons of coca leaves. This was enough to produce $200 million worth of pure cocaine. Many have raised suspicions about the true origins of this massive import, fearing it could be indirectly bankrolling drug cartels. Yet despite all this, Coca-Cola resolutely maintains the coca leaf ingredient in its product. And the reason behind this decision will truly shock you. Former Federal Bureau of Narcotics Commissioner Harry Anslinger wrote back in 1951 that maintaining this ingredient was most likely just to help Coca-Cola retain the word Coca in its trademark, a brand they had spent millions of dollars to promote. Today, Coca-Cola continues to maintain a supply chain directly tied to cocaine. To many critics, this is a stark paradox. A beloved national brand is inextricably linked to the very substance the U.S. declared it must eradicate in the war on drugs. For the sake of economic gain, moral values hold little weight, including profiting from war and supporting genocidal fascists. In the 1930s, Coca-Cola poured money into promotional campaigns specifically targeting the U.S. military. They crafted an image of a beverage that boosted physical health and fortified troop morale. When World War II broke out, Coca-Cola transformed into a powerful symbol of American patriotism and the unwavering belief in victory. From this point on, they cleverly partnered with the government to build bottling plants overseas. Under the guise of bringing a taste of home to every soldier, Coca-Cola expanded its reach to every country in the world. Overseas bottling plants sprang up with the direct backing of the government. As a result, Coca-Cola followed American troops into new frontiers. Locals sampled the drink, gradually becoming loyal customers of the brand. While many businesses were bankrupted by the war, Coca-Cola actually thrived on it. The more war raged, the further they expanded and the stronger they grew. And even more shockingly, while building a patriotic image in the U.S., Coca-Cola simultaneously profited from Nazi Germany. Coca-Cola had been present in Germany since 1929. Their sales quickly reached over 100,000 cases by 1933. That same year, Hitler seized power and began building a nation rooted in Nazi ideology. Coca-Cola, more specifically, its president, Robert Woodruff, was fully aware of this. But the German market, driven by surging growth, was playing a vital role. As a businessman, his sole priority was market expansion and protecting Coca-Cola's global profits. Thus, Max Keith, a German businessman, was handed the reins to run Coca-Cola in Germany, shielding the corporation from political fallout. However, even so, Coca-Cola still faced another major challenge. Adult Germans favored beer far more than a children's drink like Coca-Cola. To shift this perception, they needed a powerful catalyst, something stronger than mere drinking culture. Nationalism, for instance. To overcome this barrier, starting in 1933, Coca-Cola cleverly aligned its interests with the Hitler regime. On German soil, Keith marketed Coca-Cola as a domestic product targeting the working class with the slogan, "Take a break." Between 1933 and 1934, Coca-Cola consumption doubled, hitting the milestone of 234,000 cases. Keith embedded the brand into major Nazi events. In 1936, Coca-Cola was present at the Berlin Olympics, hosted by Hitler. Meanwhile, the corporation's president took a seat among the honorary guests. The iconic red and white logo even appeared at Hitler Youth rallies, organizations dedicated to indoctrinating the younger generation with fascist ideology. The company even constructed a miniature bottling line and a labor exhibition organized by the German Ministry of Propaganda. Around that time, Max Keith hosted an annual convention for roughly 1,500 distributors. The event took place directly beneath a giant swastika banner under the slogan "Victory Forever." Keith once proudly declared that their commercial success was second only to Hitler's annexation of the Sudetenland and Austria. In 1936, rival Afri-Cola spread rumors that Coca-Cola was Jewish-owned. They pointed to the bottle caps imported from the US, which bore the kosher certification seal. Keith immediately published a public denial in a notoriously anti-Semitic German newspaper. Thanks to aggressive marketing campaigns and their close alignment with the Hitler regime, Coca-Cola successfully weathered this turbulent period. However, not long after, the brand ran into stringent economic policies. In 1936, the four-year plan, implemented by Hermann Göring, severely restricted imports to transform Germany into a self-sufficient economy. Coca-Cola attempted to prove itself as a purely German enterprise, but the Nazi regime was not so easily deceived. Consequently, Coca-Cola's supply of raw materials imported from the US faced the imminent threat of being severed. However, the company's president, leveraging his deep ties within New York's banking circles, pulled the German branch back from the brink of an inevitable defeat. Consequently, by 1939, as the war tightened its economic stranglehold, the supply of raw materials from the US was completely cut off from the country. To keep the business alive, Keith developed a new product using agricultural byproducts and apple pumice. And that is exactly how Fanta was born. Amidst the whirlwind of severe shortages, Coca-Cola vanished. This new beverage quickly became a nationwide sensation. Coca-Cola didn't spend a single dime. Business was still booming. They were simply selling a different product. Fanta gradually carved out its own foothold. Meanwhile, profits flowed steadily back to the main headquarters in Atlanta. Americans drank Coca-Cola, and German soldiers drank Coca-Cola too, but under a different name. The American public remained almost entirely oblivious to Coca-Cola's operations in Germany. In their eyes, Coca-Cola still shone brightly as a symbol of courage and patriotism on the battlefield. After the war ended, documents gradually exposed Coca-Cola's duplicity. The corporation faced heavy criticism for its opportunism, placing profit above ethics, and even compromising with the fascist regime. Yet today, Coca-Cola remains one of the most recognizable brands in the world. How is that even possible? Let's rewind to the 1990s. The US soft drink market saw the emergence of numerous new players, sparking a level of fierce competition unlike anything seen before. Brands scrambled to capture every single customer, targeting highly specific demographics. But Coca-Cola chose a radically different target. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were poured in annually in exchange for exclusive pouring rights in schools nationwide. The more schools sold, the larger their cut of the profits. Amidst perpetually tight education budgets, Coca-Cola was nothing short of a generous benefactor. It infiltrated every nook and cranny of school life. Researchers call this the cradle-to-grave strategy, turning a child into a lifelong loyal customer of the brand. But they didn't stop at schools. The iconic red and white logo was stamped onto toys, model trucks, and dolls. While advertising typically targets adults, children are the future consumers and the most susceptible to brand obsession. No one can forget the Christmas seasons when the image of Santa Claus clutching an ice-cold Coca-Cola was everywhere you looked. In 1982, Coca-Cola even paid Columbia Pictures to embed their product into family films. Later, even after the studio was sold, the brand continued pouring money into Hollywood, infiltrating even deeper into pop culture. This strategy was so successful that, according to a study by the University of Maryland School of Public Health, even infants could recognize the brand. Since the 1980s, mounting evidence has continuously linked Coca-Cola to severe health crises, ranging from tooth decay, diabetes, and obesity, to a host of other metabolic disorders. Yet, despite this, they have relentlessly continued to target children with their advertising. Revenue has skyrocketed, while the brand has become more deeply intertwined with consumer emotions than ever before. From a simple soft drink once peddled as a medicinal tonic, Coca-Cola has evolved into a global empire. They are no longer just selling a beverage. They are selling memories, joy, and a sense of belonging. And that is precisely why this corporation pours billions of dollars into advertising. Today, 94% of the global population instantly recognizes that iconic shade of red the moment they see it. Facing relentless criticism over harmful ingredients, ethical scandals, and political controversies, Coca-Cola remains unshakable. They have mastered the art of playing the role of the public's whole friend. Even when the world's biggest soccer star pushes their product away in front of millions of viewers, Coca-Cola still wins. Because no amount of free viral advertising could ever generate that level of impact.